Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Particle Accelerator Podcast, where we talk to future thinking business leaders about how to accelerate their business and grow their team. Here today with Julian. Julian, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey, Benjamin. Thanks for having me on. I excited to have this conversation. As you mentioned, my name is Julian. I'm part video producer, part adventure seeker, part online teacher, AI expert. I was born in Hawaii, raised in California. I currently own Leap Year Learning. It's an AI education platform, and we have about 500,000 students. So I'm happy to have this conversation and talk about everything that's relevant today.
Awesome. I'd love to get to know you. And the way I do that is I ask, how did you as a human make your first dollar?
I was not the type of student that excelled in traditional schooling. I have a condition called synesthesia, so I have a bit of an overlap of my sensory system. Audio and visual is extremely hypersensitive, and I think that's what put me into the video producing route from a really young age. I was photoshopping report cards. I had the street smarts, but I just did not apply myself because when I'd be looking at a teacher, I couldn't help it. I was like, I don't want this person's life. They don't look healthy. They're not glowing. They're not bright. They're not passionate about what they do. So why would I learn? And I'm like 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, thinking these thoughts and thinking about life and what I want to create. So I started with video production when YouTube was getting started. And I didn't think about a career. I was just purely, when I got home from school, I wanted to grab a camera. I begged my parents to get me this cheap little Sony FX1000 at the time, when it was a camcorder with a tape that you put in. Nothing of what we have on the iPhone. So I started filming videos and uploading them to YouTube. I did some skateboarding videos at the time because I was a little bit of a punk at that age before college. And a buddy of mine was putting together a New Year's Eve event for a party. And he said, hey, come by, film it, and I'll pay you. So not even thinking about it. This is like, I miss these times of the innocence and just doing whatever the passion is without any forward thinking, just raw in the moment, pure. I want to do this because of the creativity. And I really try to recultivate that now because that's like something that you can't teach and it leaves as you age and new developing businesses. Did the whole thing, put my heart and soul into that project, didn't think about the money. But when he handed me that $100 check for this video that I worked my ass on for a whole week, and it was a lot more valuable than $100, but that moment, it was a light bulb, a lightning strike moment. It was like, wow, okay, I can make money doing this. And after that, I did for free for $20, for $30, for $100, for $200, and just built my production career from that point on.
Yeah, I definitely did some skateboarding too. I had a paper route. I skateboarded my paper route. So every morning at 6 a.m., they heard that distinct, my skateboard tracks going over the cracks in the sidewalk. What toy or hobby do you think influenced what you do career-wise today?
My father was a photographer in a successful photo printing business. I actually have two dads, a biological father and a stepdad, and they were both creative and they both worked in photography. In school, I was like, this is so boring and slow. I always saw video as the new photography, and I just went straight into video because you could buy something and then upload it online. I was born at the right place at the right time in Los Angeles, being raised in Los Angeles technically, and it was just the right time to get the camera, to be able to upload it online, to get feedback. This was before influencers. So people weren't monetizing their audience at this time. To get feedback, I was like, wow, people really like these videos I put together. Maybe there's some here. Wow, I can make money. So just being able to beg my parents enough to get me a camcorder really helped me start the career. And then the passion
Yeah.
drive to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned school. What was your favorite and least favorite course in school?
I don't even know where to start with that. There was no favorites. Oh man, anything fit that time is so not fun. But I play hockey and I like going to the gym. So anything physical, but I had some favorite teachers in 4th grade and 6th grade, but truly, I went to college and I dropped out after 2 months. That is just not my route of traditional education. And that's what drove my online course business. That did not light me up in the slightest bit, but I think it got me excited to carve my own path more than anything else.
What quote from a famous person lives in your mind rent free?
There's a book I read called Die Empty. It's a very strange sentence when you hear that. Oh, die empty. What's up with that? The actual meaning behind that is you want to put it all out there. You want to get everything off this hard drive and put it out into the world. You go out with a bang with all of your creativity and ideas out in the world versus stuck on your hard drive as a potentiality because you're being a perfectionist, you're overthinking it. That's really a philosophy that took a lot of years for me to work through. The creative ego, this is not perfect enough, and I don't want to have a contractor do this because I have to do it perfectly, and staying small and tight. I've really worked over the past years to really open up and just be putting out content and business plans, everything. I want to die empty.
I love that. I want to live life with an open-handed grip, because when you hold too tight on something, you can't hold on to some of the other things. So if I have an open hand, closed grip on business, and I'm trying to just control my business growth, then I'm going to neglect my family or my faith. I might not make it to the gym because I got this closed grip on my business. I even think of money or currency as this thing that flows through me, right? It's not something for me to grab onto. It's a current. It's going to flow through. And so I love that. And definitely we're aligned on that, because I want to live my life with this open-handed posture around the things that I'm stewarding, and it just flows. And so having it flow rather than trying to hold on to it too tightly, and then it's a counterbalance, right? While I'm holding on to that tightly, something else is slipping away.
All of it is a paradox. This whole existence, business ownership, relationship is a complete paradox. That doing it is being on the court of life, absolutely okay with what's happening while having a direction, but not holding on to it like a butterfly landing in your hand. Okay, it's there if I do this, it dies, but you're trying to create things and have success, and it's a total absent paradox.
Yeah, cool.
Balance.
What tech trend has significantly impacted your industry, and how's your company responded?
That's a great question. I'm in the education space. We have one of the top selling AI courses in the United States. My whole days now are devoted to zooming out as much as possible and seeing where this is going. With all these AI tools that are rapidly changing, I see a bright future, and I also see other futures that are possible. I'm really trying to harmonize my team to be as fine-tuned as possible so we can put out content quickly and efficiently that is helping people use AI in their life so that they don't lose their job, they actually excel in their career, or they're able to leave their job that they don't enjoy and create their own entrepreneurial path. My whole day is dedicated to this mission, and it's changing every day with the tools that are released. The education business is really interesting with this new endeavor or the new developments of AI.
Yeah, so my company is globally remote, right? One of the big questions that I've had is, how do I grow a culture where there is no single point? I have a bunch of friends in India that I work with, a bunch of employees in India, South America, US. So how do we build one cohesive culture when nobody's in a similar location? There is no destination where you can go to bring everybody together. And so creating video content has become one of the key ways of communicating global culture, getting people together virtually, but also delivering the vision has been essential. We live in an amazing time because you can create a world-class culture totally remote where everyone is digesting and engaging digitally.
Yeah, and then the converse side of that is you can be the biggest bottleneck if you have a remote team. This is something my company has struggled with, is how do you share the vision so that all of your remote contractors don't come to you for every single answer? The key is like having them align with your company vision so that they know where you're going, what you want to do. They don't have to come and get you to sign off on every little thing. If they know the vision, then they'll know this is a yes or a no. The training and all that, there's so many levels to it. It's wild having the remote teams.
Yeah, that Social Network movie that everybody was inspired by about Facebook. He's blogging while he's writing code. The kind of clip of that movie is not too far from what it has to be like. We're writing code, but we're also updating the PSA tool. And it's become essential that not only are you doing your work, but you're making it visible, something that you have to be intentional about, because you can be digitally silent and then the visibility of your impact isn't being seen. So even as employees, you have to lean into, hey, I need people to see me. I need to be seen and heard. I have to have intention with that. Otherwise, out of sight, out of mind is just something that we all suffer with.
Yeah.
What are some 3 or so technology innovations that you're betting on to drive your business growth?
So that's an interesting one. It's pretty much all AI related right now. We are just trying to empower students and offer more services outside of the traditional pre-recorded online course. That's currently what my business model is. The students find us online. They enroll in our filmmaking courses, our coding courses, our music production courses, or our AI courses. And those are all high quality pre-recorded. Now, where I see this going is that instead of watching a 10-hour course on learning a specific skill and then walking away with that skill, the future of education is going to be showing people in 20 minutes how to use your custom AI tool that then gives them that same skill that they don't need to physically and mentally know, because AI will do it and they'll re-edit what the output is. We're putting together a ladder of different AI related services for entrepreneurs, business owners, employees that I can't fully talk about, but basically would take what you would take hours to learn. AI is going to do that for you. You just need to learn how to use the tool versus physically learn how to color correct your footage or do something in filmmaking. You just need to learn how to prompt that properly. And if you have a custom AI tool that's doing it even better, that's what people are going to start paying for in the future. So that's going to be a massive shift in the education industry. All those kind of one-click done for you things we're really betting on to be the next big thing. And you won't need the professional expert quite as much anymore when it's just right here in front of you. So the coaching business will change, but we're betting that if you are a coach with the AI tool, you're going to be ahead of the curve. And then also if you're authority in a topic that's selling that specific expert AI tool, that will be who the people that succeed.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're experimenting a lot with the idea of AI assisted coding. Obviously, I know a lot of people are. I don't love the term vibe coding because what I'm finding is that it's really powerful in this like aim small, miss small. If I'm essentially using it as a way of auto completing my code, it's killer because I'm really guiding it towards the right structure. Honestly, writing code's never been the barrier. We could always write the code. It was really understanding what the customer needed and what the customer's users really wanted. So that process has always been the barrier. What is the outcome that we want and how do we make sure that outcome is marketable? Consulting has still become the critical thing, making sure that the requirements are understood and that the design is good and all of that. With kind of an AI assisted autocomplete, the developer still knows what they want and are getting it delivered more quickly. I found misses is that when we ask AI to complete something big, it fills in the blanks for the customer. So now you end up with, wait, I asked for X and you gave me Y, and Y's got all this other stuff that I didn't ask for, all these hallucinations. And so the takeaway for me is whenever you use AI, you lose authenticity. I'm just wondering if that is true in some of the fields that you're finding. Maybe a way to say this succinctly is I feel like AI is a great way to get to 80%, but sometimes that remaining 20% means that the AI output wasn't as meaningful. I wonder what your thoughts are.
Oh, absolutely. A great example that's a perfect analogy for what you're saying is that in our lessons, if we do the entire lesson that's AI, the voice is 98% there, the visuals are 90% there, but the student will feel something is off. Now, what we do, because if you just listen, let AI take care of it, no, you need the humanness to make it a complete product that's presentable. And so it's not this thing of, oh, just let AI do that. No, it's a tool like a screwdriver, anything like that's going to allow for you to build something. It's an electric screwdriver versus a standard one, but you don't just set the screwdriver and say, build the house. We combine AI in our lessons where students don't even know. They don't know that, like in the intro, we speak to camera, we present what they're going to learn in this lesson. They see us full screen in the image, and then it'll cut to the actual content of the lesson where they'll see us in the small top right. The whole screen now is a screen capture of us teaching them. That's our avatar and that's our AI voice. And then at the end of that 8-minute lesson, we come back full screen. You just learn how to do this in the next lesson. So human in the front, human at the end, all AI generated, but it's seamless, 80% to 20%. And they don't even know that middle part because of the humanness that's added to that process. So yeah, excellent tool, but you can't just slap a AI thing on it, at least not yet. We don't really know where that goes, but I would implore people to think of it as this awesome accelerator, but not a done for you. Now I don't need to completely leave my skill set aside.
Yeah. And I think to get to what I'm seeing is that there's this staging in data engineering. We have this idea of bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze is where all kinds of raw data is coming in. Silver is where it's getting integrated together and you get new business values out of the combination of certain data sets. And then gold becomes like where you do your SEC filings out of, the curated, pristine data that even if somebody's pivoted, they can't produce a lie out of the data in gold. I think AI solutions follow the same trajectory where bronze is like giving ChatGPT to all your employees and saying, hey, go figure it out. But it's very much the Wild West, right? They're pulling a spreadsheet, adding it to a prompt, getting an output, and taking the action. So the human is very much in the center, using AI as just like an assistant to make new work products from existing work products. In silver, all that orchestration needs traditional programming around it to make it good. And you're really getting accurate and you're getting narrow. And you're like, no, I want the prompt to do this specific thing with this specific data for this specific output. And then gold is like what I think most people are trying to reach, which is that full agentic solution that like handles first tier customer support or fully completes a task and is running on its own. But the amount of work to go from a bronze thing that's working to then full integration with your data sets, it's a huge process. Most people are romanticized by the idea of an agentic solution, but don't understand how the business or the process has to mature to be able to get to that. Is there something in the content production that's like that, where if I just have a person continue to repeat the process, it's working great? And then do you see that kind of progression hit at all?
One of the biggest things for me these days is focusing on training my VA. Now that I'm trained on how to use I become 10 people. The most impactful thing is training my VAs how to do what I would normally do. I'm constantly doing Loom tutorials throughout the day. I'm stopping the momentum of, oh yeah, I'll just do that real quick. Boom, Loom tutorial, record me doing it, drop it on Slack. Then my VAs are all learning my AI workflow. Now they each become 10 people, and then I have a handful of them. So then there's 200 VAs that I now have that know my workflow, know how I use AI. Training your team on these levels that you would use it, or training them to even be better or to explore things that you don't even know, I think is massive. Until agents are fully dialed in and just as impactful as a VA, I think right now training your team on the top workflows is the best thing you can do.
I like that because that's the bronze layer I'm talking about. And you're saying like, hey, if you have something that's producing that efficiency, why not delegate that out to make your time more efficient or maintain the strategy, but not necessarily pushing to something because you've already taken so much efficiency gain just from the introduction of AI in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. It's in all areas now. We write scripts with it. We answer student Q&A with it. But the team that's remote that does that, our scripts are generated in Argentina, gets sent here, we record it, it goes to the Philippines to get edited. AI is through that whole process now. And then all the way on the back end of answering students' messages and their questions, we have custom GPTs that speak in our tone of voice. And then we hired VAs to do it. And now VAs use AI to do it. And so they're more efficient. The whole process is more efficient. And we can focus more on building a more kick-ass course. And that's exactly what we're focused on.
That's really cool. What do you think the most significant gaps between your ambitions and the realities of today?
I see a world where we don't need to work, we can choose to work. I see a world where everyone has individualized education, where if you're living in India or in Australia, you have a custom tutor and best friend, but in a good, high vibrational humanity way. It's this person that empowers you to learn. Today, I want to learn about history in Rome, and I just generate my instant video, and it's cinematic, and there's a voiceover, and there's visuals. We are doing that manually, but I see a world of education where that can be done for everyone. The most powerful type of teaching is one-on-one teaching. In a classroom, it's 1 to 30. With an online course, it's 1 to thousands, which is technically the least efficient way to learn. Now, if you have AI, that's really where my aspirations and goals for your original question is, how do I transition my business from pre-recorded courses to AI side co-pilot, assistant, educator, tutor, and then also not get swept away by when they release GPT-5 and then it's all that's available on Chat GPT and it's only just built into their platform. Or VO3 now, they're of course blowing up right now, but then they release an AI tutor educator. It's a very interesting time. I'm trying to mold to it while building something that's not just going to get dusted by the next update of the largest AI tool.
Yeah.
Google could release Google Tutor tomorrow. That's what I see. I see the vision of this being humans more empowered than ever before. And that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so that reminds me of this. It's a fictional book. Neil Stephenson's one of my favorite sci-fi authors, and he has this book called Quicksilver. The subtitle's like an illustrated primer, like a little girl's illustrated primer. And basically, it's talking about a digital device that's raising this child, this little girl. And without spoiling it for anybody, the content isn't produced all AI. It's not like the learning material. He calls it interactive, where there's actually actors in some studio somewhere that are interacting, but they're being told what to say to the AI, right? So they're making it personal. They're putting the humanity into it. The little girl is learning. And the science fiction part of it is that she's retaining the information in a somewhat fictional ability. Her abilities are being transformed and she's really absorbing the information. But then I watch my kids use a tablet and I'm like, we're not too far from that. But the way he twists in this idea of humanity being involved in the fiction of that is really cool. A lot like what you're talking about. Already touching on it though, how do you maintain your competitive edge when the big tech companies are doing everything they're doing? How do we maintain our competitive edge when this is still a super rapidly changing space?
I would say there's two things. The first thing is they're never going to niche down. They're going to offer these rapidly evolving, updating V1, V2, V3 products that are going to be for mass audience that you can build products on top of and use them as a base layer. I wouldn't try to build the next AI chatbot, but I would try to use that for your specific business. So find out that, and you can even brainstorm with chat GPT, do some deep research on how to do that. The next thing is, man, like I said, I've been so focused on not being so busy, fixing my workflows so that I'm not on Slack all day, fixing my calendar so that I'm blocking full days out for specific business ventures. I'm less efficient across everything. And then getting less busy so that I'd have time to say, where is this whole thing going? Because this is so different than 2 years ago. It's rapidly evolving. And so that's just part of my daily conversation with my business partners is, okay, what's next? I'm personally dictating my thoughts every single day into different ChatGPT threads. I have a thread titled Soul Mapping and Purpose Journal. I have a thread entitled My Method Development of what I want to teach, and chat's going to help me put that into a specific method. I have ones for other future projects, and I dictate to it every single day, and I tell it, don't respond unless I ask you a question. I just want you to listen intently and listen to all the nuances and depth of what I'm saying. And I'm treating it like a notepad in all these different threads. And then a week from now, I'll be able to export out, give me a bullet point of everything I've been saying and let me know a game plan and how it lines up with 2026. Use the tools without getting too wrapped up in the day-to-day of your current business. Utilize AI and also just don't be so busy.
Yeah. I love that calendar grouping strategy. I think that's hugely relevant for me because I use Calendly a lot. So I just let people have access to the full calendar. A lot of my calendar ends up ungrouped. I really like that recommendation to group the calendar and pull things together. I'm definitely going to think about that. I am interested in how you're coaching risk when it comes to implementing some of these cutting edge technologies. And what I like about your general is you're talking about using the tools, and risk would be all of a sudden you have to spend a ton of time on a particular thing to catch up. How do you approach risk as you're evaluating these things and you're plotting that systematic thought to your calendar?
When it comes to AI usage or just overall business risks or what kinds?
The question's inspired by overall business risk. People think of risk differently, but for me, a risk is if I try to set up the perfect system, then how am I ready for the thing that comes up that needs my attention? There's a lot of risk in, okay, life is what happens while you're planning other things. But yeah, the question's usually just as you're implementing new technologies and stuff, how do you handle risk?
Everything is inherently risky. Going for it is risky, and not going for it is risky. So I personally focus on doing my research to a certain extent on the next move and having conversation. In order to pull in things into my life that I want to create, I will generally journal about it, meditate on it, and have conversations about it. Those three things give me a well-rounded direction on what to go for. Use contractors that specialize in certain things, but at the end of the day, it's simple as follow your gut. A lot of the time, there's so much research you can do, but not everything applies to everyone. Every time I show up in a way that is authentic, I truly feel like I need to take a week off. That sounds risky. And when I do it, I come back and there's a brand new thing that gets birthed from that. I see this not as something outside of me. My life is what I create.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer, because what you're talking about is this idea of do, be, have. If I want to be successful, why don't I just be successful, not trying to do things to become successful eventually? It's a shift. If I just think of myself like, hey, I am successful, then I will naturally do the things that successful people do. And you can apply that to anything: success, how worthy you feel as a human being. If I focus on being rather than doing, then I won't always be chasing that next thing. Being present in that I already am who I need to be, and not shoulding on myself. Oh, I should do this or I should do that. No, this is what I'm doing right now. And so I'm going to be present with it. Creatives like yourself get that a lot faster than most of us. In order to create, you have to go, hey, I'm not trying to be creative. I am creative. And so then, of course, I create. And then the having just naturally happens.
100%. And it brings up a really good point. You can only take your business as far as you've taken yourself. When you're self-employed, if you're working for someone else, they put the ceiling on you because your job is only in this. But if you're an entrepreneur and owning your own business, you can only take that business as far as the healing of your past will allow you to go. Healing and going through the unpacking your past and growing in the personal development side for the entrepreneur is more important when it comes to the success of being that individual that's going to be successful. Is so much more powerful than just, I'm going to grind for the next year. You're going to be hitting those blind spots and those ceilings of fear, doubt, money problems, programming from the past. That is a huge one for me, focusing on the personal growth aspect.
Yeah. One of my buddies, he's in his 50s and he decided to be a triathlete. He just completed a triathlon. And I'm like, man, you're in your 50s. What is it about being a triathlete? Why do you want to be an Ironman? And it's not that I want to be an Ironman, it's who I need to become, who becoming an Ironman is going to make me. The training process is going to make me into like my goal. The goals that I set are not the goals because, oh, it's this linear progression and that's going to be my goal. Setting a goal that's going to cause you to change into the kind of person that achieves that goal is super rewarding. Most people, you just do the math and then set their goal on the path that they're already on. It's a rare few people that set a goal that actually puts them on a whole different line.
That's one of the laws of manifestation, being at the vibration of what you want to create.
How do you connect like your roadmap and your overall business strategy?
For my ventures that I'm doing, it's driven by my passion. It's driven by what I want to produce on this planet. The hard part of that in the past is that's grown quickly. I used to want to have the biggest production company that did music videos. When I was in my 20s, I thought 100% that was my peak. That's what I was working towards. As I grew, I saw, oh, wow, this is entertaining, but I'm not giving value when the person sees this music video. Maybe the visuals look inspiring, but then what? So my desire of what I wanted to give changed, and that changed my business strategy. That changed where my company went, left the video production thing more in the past, went into the educational route. Then the goal was to teach filmmaking when I started. Now the goal is to equip people with tools that they need to survive and thrive in this AI world. And my inner world leads that outer decisiveness of where I take my team. So I'm always listening to that voice because I tend to get a little bit like, man, the paycheck is just not cutting it. And it'll just be right in my face. So my inner world definitely guides that process for the business side.
Yeah, that's really cool. What lessons have you learned from a failed initiative?
Failures can really take wind out of your sails. So I've had a lot of those. And one takeaway, get up and keep going. That's for sure. I would say that's a part of the process. You get a little bit worn and battle hardened when you're younger and you're just like I was mentioning at the beginning of just the innocence of just, oh, I'm going to pick up the camera and film, not because you're planning 5 years ahead, because that's truly the inspiration that's coming out of you. And I've felt the loss of that just joyful desire to create just for the sake of creation and gotten so business oriented and what's the ROI on this and how is this going to pay off? I've learned that's an important part to keep that young, youthful, flexible, joyful part of you. It doesn't have to be innocent. It doesn't have to be naive, but just keeping that creative part of you that you were born with because failure is going to happen. It happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, I found I'm 48. Like that 50 wall is pressing on me. I'm feeling a shift after decent ventures, solid triple hit. I feel a shift towards contributing where, yeah, it's cool to make money. It's cool to track a win, but I'm tracking my wins more on my personal habits. But my bigger wins are when I see other people succeed. The shift happens for most people as they get older. They shift from being ambitious to being contribution driven. What contribution can I make? And I feel that as one of my kids just graduated magna cum laude coming out of college, and just the pride I feel in that. I'm sure you feel that too as you're building education content for other people, seeing what they do with a lesson they took and then seeing what they're able to create on their own. The testimonials from a well executed course and then the things that people were able to do with that's got to be tremendous.
Yeah, definitely. I'm shifting towards that win-win mentality. I recently did a personal development training and there was a specific exercise, and I get chills just even talking about it, where they split it into two different teams. They explained this game we were going to play. At the end of it, you come out thinking, wow, I am so selfish. It opens up your mind of, wow, I'm only being taught what society has told me with.
And of course, just focusing on living life as a win-win would make somebody way more successful at that game. You hear what you want to hear, and it just seems we're programmed through competition. I played that game too, and I had the same takeaway. And just the way that executed interpersonally was so beautiful, where there was like young guys were about to get it. We were already 3 or 4 turns into the game, and the outcome had already been determined. We played it with a mixed age group. And some of the older, more alpha dudes were just trying to control the way the game was playing. It was some of the young guys that were like, wait, we're missing it. We're just missing it. I don't know what we're missing, but we're missing it. And just dealing with the conflict through that was really cool. I was so excited to have that in common with you.
I recommend everyone try to get in a scenario in a room or a personal development training where you play this red-black game because it will crack open your mind on society and saving experience when I did that.
This idea of what if everybody could play a game and win? And isn't that more like how life is rather than how a game is played? It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You mentioned delegating to the VAs, and you mentioned a lot of cool stuff around culture. How do you cultivate a culture of innovation, like constantly improving within your organization?
I would say empowerment. I would say hiring a great team. The vetting process is the most important. Whether it's in person or remote, get on Zoom, get in person, talk to your team in person. Don't just resolve to just Slack. I call it living in the Slackiverse 24/7. See these people face to face. See these people at least on video, bare minimum. Make sure that they're aligned with the vision. Vision is everything. Like Steve Jobs, these people were so good at declaring a vision and keeping the team aligned so they could achieve things that were impossible because they were excited, resonant with the vision. Treat your own business like that. I think that's been a big learning curve in my different ventures. Empowering your team to make their own decisions so that you're not that bottleneck. We tend to be the biggest bottleneck, but you have to have good contractors or employees to make that happen. And that only comes from a deeper vetting process that has to be some face-to-face and some connection and just honesty to ensure that the people that you're bringing on are aligned with who you want to be, what you want to do. And it should be a more than just a business fit. I don't really look at the resume per se. I look at the work that they've done and I look at their moral and character. When I have a conversation with a potential employee, does the conversation spin into inspiration or does it go down and I'm pulling questions out of this person? It's just not meshing. That's probably a sign. You're not going to read that on a resume. You're only going to get that from the human connection. So I'd say you got to focus on those.
Yeah, that's great. we have a high impact team. And it wasn't until about a year ago where I started adding some different strengths tests and disc and some other data points to really assess fit, especially for my leadership team. Really knowing the person that you're about to hire and taking the time with that. I find in culture, there's these two conversations that take place, and they're both really important. Conversation one is this conversation, this is what's expected of you. In that conversation, it's my responsibility to be understood. I can't just minimize that conversation, glance over it, have this super fast talk. Most business owners are super driven, quick, impatient people. And so they speedily have conversation one. And then when the other person doesn't understand, it's the other person's fault. There's a certain ownership we have to take as leaders to be understood and have this really clear conversation around what's expected, what the role is, and what the goals are. That role is slightly bigger than the person's current understanding of their capabilities and capacity. If you do that really well, then when things go sideways, you have conversation two. But conversation two isn't, hey, why are you screwing up? Conversation two is, hey, man, we were clear. Like, we know what's going on with you. And so I think early, and I've been treated this way, but this idea of people are objects or tools rather than people are people. And so now you have this opportunity. If you had a really good conversation, now you can have this really high quality conversation. Hey, man, what's going on? What's happening with you? Because we're trying to create something amazing together. And we all say we want to adhere to these core values. People like us do things like this. We don't do things like that. And so what's going on? And just get that human side of what are their challenges and then working through that with them. And I found if it's that rather than just a repeat of conversation one, then it's so powerful because then you realize, oh, they're having some trouble at home and you can understand. And it's from that place of caring, you can really help coach, improve capacity, and deal with maybe some capability issues and process through it together rather than just all you ever have is conversation one. And then you're parting ways with the person in a negative way rather than a positive way. Hey, it's just not a right fit for us. We've had the conversation. You're you, I'm me. It's not a fit. Maybe I'm holding you back from the career that you were really destined for. That shift, like people are not objects or tools, people are people. And as long as I've taken the time to really express the role and the expectations, then I'm open to have this super vibrant interpersonal conversation because we're really in the foxhole together.
And it's building a team. It should be human to human. And that's the most important part to build a successful organization.
Yeah. Do you have any experience that you could share with maybe a person just beginning their career journey or beginning their digital transformation journey or starting to want to be as successful as a person as you become?
I would say for the general person leaving their job, starting a new job, starting to really take life and take responsibility and try something a bit risky, listen to yourself. Definitely. There's only so much research you can do. I think there's a lot of incredible free tools. I always tell people I have a master's degree in YouTube. I've used that platform the most, and I've learned so much in every single department of my life. Interpersonal skills, relationship, business, all that from YouTube, and it's absolutely free. So I recommend ingesting content that is aligned with who you want to be. And that could be podcasts exactly like this. You have to be a gatekeeper of your mind because everything that comes in, whether you consciously feel it or not, is changing your state. So if you're constantly taking in the news, you're constantly in this fear state of what's coming at you. It's a mirror. So don't not be of the world and listen to the news, but I would say focus on, I want to do this. So I'm going to fill and saturate myself with the rocket fuel and the knowledge and the information, the inspiration, the techniques to go be that person, do that thing that I want to do. Fill your vessel with nutritious ideas and thoughts. Don't try to figure it all out either. I tell people when they ask about videos and they get all stuck on the minute details, I tell them, this is video number 5. Don't even come back to me until video number 50, video number 100, because don't worry about the masterpiece until you get to video 500 if you're a content creator. That applies to all niches. Do not worry about the masterpiece. That's later. And then even when you're there, it's not going to be a masterpiece. Let that perfectionist part of you go. You create your own ceiling and can go as high as all of your belief systems, your fears, and your skill set. Harmonizing all those is the most important.
So if people like what you've had to share today, how would you like them to connect with you?
LeapYearLearning.ai is our online education company. You can follow us on Instagram. My personal Instagram account is Julian Discovers. We host courses on Udemy and have our own platform. You can find me there, reach out, send me a message, and we'll go from there. I'm more than happy to help any listeners to this podcast.
Who do you really want to have connect with you? What kind of conversations do you want to be having, and who do you want to connect with?
I want to connect with people that want more in life. I want to connect with people that want to use technology for the betterment of themselves and mankind. I want to connect with people that see a bright future and want to empower themselves to do more. I want to help people help others. The thing that I'm working on is helping create other millionaires and helping those people impact millions of lives. I've done that for myself, and I truly want to help others create that same impact.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Amazing. Thank you, Benjamin. I'm looking forward to the next one.